Good day, everyone, and welcome to the WANA webinar series. As you will notice, all participants have been muted. If you have a question to ask, please send your questions into the Q&A panel located on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, or by pressing the three-dot option along the bottom and selecting Q&A panel. Your questions will be answered after the presentation. If you have any technical issues, please send a private chat to the host, the directions of which can be found in the chat window. Thank you all for joining, and please welcome Cyrus Napolitano, a member of Fountain House.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm Cyrus, coming to you live from New York City, and this is the WANA webinar series. The WANA webinar series is a collaboration between Clubhouse International, Clubhouse Europe, and Fountain House New York, where we bring you the latest and greatest on various topics impacting the worldwide Clubhouse movement. Today's topic is entitled Challenging Job Market, Time for a Renewed Focus on Clubhouse Educational Support. So why focus on education and why now? Why the necessary link between educational and employment supports? This is something I've been talking about, the necessity of linking the two for many years here at Fountain House. In today's global economy and a post-COVID world, education is more important than ever to help our members develop the necessary skills for better employment opportunities. Moving beyond menial tasks and jobs to learning how to code, how to create an Excel spreadsheet, or even run an HR department. It is vital that we support members in their educational goals. Standard number 25 reads as follows. The Clubhouse assists members to reach their vocational and educational goals by helping them take advantage of educational opportunities in the community. When the Clubhouse also provides an in-house education program, it significantly utilizes the teaching and tutoring skills of members. Today, we are joined by colleagues from 3 clubhouses, Fountain House New York, Magnolia Clubhouse in Cleveland, Ohio, and Fontenehuset, Rygge in Norway. These 3 clubhouses vary in size and scope of the educational supports that they provide in their respective communities, big, medium, and small. But I would encourage you not to focus on the size of the clubhouse or think that your clubhouse can't do X or Y. We want nothing more than to plant a seed of ideas that you can nurture and grow to meet your clubhouse members' educational needs. It is about sharing these ideas and new ways of learning and working together that will ultimately lead to better and more successful lives for our members. Remember WANA, we are not alone, and neither are you. And with that, I'd like to introduce our first guests, Megan and Deb from Fountain House, New York. Megan?
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Kelly. I'm the unit leader at the Fountain House Education Unit, and I'm here with Deb. Deb, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Deb. I'm a member of Fountain House. It's going on 17 years now, and I participate in the education unit. And overall, it's been a great experience, and I love it and grateful for it.
So we want to talk to you a little bit about how Fountain House does supported education, as well as how you can incorporate it into your clubhouse. DDI, can you put on the PowerPoint?
Sure, give me one moment.
So why supported education in the clubhouse? How does it fit? Fountain House has had an education unit since I've been there, and I started in 1999. And supported education fits into the clubhouse model because it assists members in achieving their goals. About 10% of Fountain House members identify education in some capacity as a goal when they enter the clubhouse. It also creates meaningful work for members who might not necessarily be in school to getting involved in the education area or education work with the clubhouse. And education and employment go hand in hand. People often want to have good careers or good jobs, and learning a trade or a skill or having education is really important to that. Clubhouses who have in-house educational programs, and Fountain House is very large, so don't get intimidated by our size that we do an in-house education program. You can do parts of this in a small clubhouse as well. but an in-house education program can be used as a stepping stone to educational pursuits in the larger community, similarly to how TE prepares members for independent employment while providing meaningful work in the clubhouse. So for instance, at Fountain House, we have members tutor each other or do in-house classes where members have mastery of a type of skill or knowledge of a subject, and they teach members how to do it. And we prepare them. Maybe somebody hasn't been in school for 10 years and sitting in a classroom or being in a learning environment, taking notes. All of that is incorporated into our in-house classes. Deb, do you want to talk about potential types of supported education?
Yeah, because we have with basic literacy. You know, we've been working. Many people come to Fountain House and they've never been taught the basic skills of reading and writing, and they may not even have their high school diploma. These are necessary things to succeed in the world, you know, vocationally speaking, to get a job. And so, yeah, we do tutoring. We have the high school equivalency, vocational training, college level learning, in-house classes. We try to teach like in a get people to take steps to get. Some people haven't been back to school in a very long time, and this is a stepping stone, as Megan, you know, to learn to come on time and to do the work and participate. Graduate studies, lifelong learning, digital literacy.
So people at Fountain House are involved in a whole host of learning experiences, both in the clubhouse and out in the community. Some examples of the student supports that we give, we've mentioned the in-house classes where members actually develop a curriculum that incorporates a knowledge of a subject as well as a basic student skill, whether it's essay writing or taking notes, participating in class, as well as one-on-one tutoring. We have created a literacy project, which Deb is highly involved in. We do individual education coaching, student reach out, and on-campus support. So if a student is having trouble at a school, we actually go down to the school and work with them and other offices at the school in order to make sure that they have the opportunity to be as successful as possible. We even go with people to take tours of college campuses or high school equivalency programs to make sure that people feel comfortable. And this is all done by members and staff of the community. So it's great work for other members to get involved in. And meaningful work. Standard number 19 talks about meaningful work playing a role in the clubhouse, which provides people the opportunity to develop self-esteem and empowerment. And so supported education creates a lot of meaningful work for the members of the clubhouse. There's additional reach out that happens to students. We try to reach out to students at least once a month because students might not necessarily be able to get into the clubhouses regularly. There's data entries, taking care of all of our statistics and following members along their process and seeing how they're going. We use that for fundraising and grant writing. Members who teach in-house classes do curriculum development. Members teach and tutor, and they're also part of the educational coaching, which we do with individual members on a regular basis, making sure that they have their financial aid set or they need help registering, and we go through all of that with them. Debra plays a vital role in our supported education program, and I want her to speak to how this work has affected her.
Okay, well, did we have a slide about expressing the goal, meeting the coaching?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, wanted to start with, first I just want to go through this slide. Express a goal. When people come in, sometimes they have maybe a goal that you have to make an achievable goal. Sometimes you have to adapt. You want to encourage people. You don't want to discourage anyone, but you want them to succeed. And so meeting with the coaching team is a very important part of what we do. And because this is where you get to know the person, which is you to know their strengths and see where they have challenges, know their education history, see what, when you develop the plan, this way you will know what kind of supports to put in, you know, tutoring or mentoring, or we have extra support for people with learning disabilities. And to implement the plan, Megan was saying, you know, maybe go to the college and get them hooked up with the services and accommodations, and then nobody is just sent off in a vacuum to go to school. There is ongoing supports with the phone calls, follow up, and we keep track, and we know what everybody's doing, and we coach and we encourage. But the previous slide was about literacy and some of the things I do. I facilitate a weekly literacy circle, and it's for people who may have not achieved their high school diploma, and some people, even if the ones who have, they have goals to improve their possibilities in getting a better job. So, well, we read together, and it's a safe environment where no judging, and people just need to practice reading out loud, and we discuss basic language arts, vocabulary, and sentence structure, and they're learning and they're improving. We do that. We have an in-house class that I'm participating in, where we're teaching persuasive writing. Some of the students are in college, but some people are looking to get back into college. So we teach it like this is, we give homework, and we prep the class. We're trying to teach it as a real educational experience. This is all unit work, and we did it all before the pandemic, and we've continued doing it during the pandemic. If we have to continue virtually online, I can continue to run the literacy, teach classes, and I'm personally tutoring 2 people from the literacy group. I'm tutoring them in reading, and it's going really well. And
how has it impacted you as a member, Deb?
Okay, so like I would tell people that for 20 years, and I had my own dog walking business, pet care, dog walking, which I have to say was a supportive employment project in and of itself, but I was successful, and 20 years I did it, and 2 years ago, my own dog, who I had for 18 years, she died, and it broke my heart. It crushed me, and I felt like I lost purpose in my life, you know? Like I lost all interest in walking dogs, caring for dogs, doing anything like that, and I just stopped working. And I felt like my life had no value, and I had, you know, what's the point? I had nothing. And then when I heard that there was going to be a literacy project in the education unit, it changed my life, because I got excited, and that's something I can do. And I started gathering up books at home and bringing them in and making the photocopies, and I got excited, and I'm going to help people learn to read and improve their reading, and because it's important and it's necessary to be done. But it's given me confidence, you know, helping people and seeing them improve and seeing their confidence level improve. It helped me feel better. And now I started to work on my peer support certification. Is that what you call it? Peer specialist, excuse me. And that was something that intimidated me for the last 5 years, and I thought I'm never going to be able to do that. But it's like seeing that I've been able to give so much to people, I thought, well, maybe I can do that, and that's what I'm doing now. And it's just, I feel like I have something valuable in my life again. And
thank you, Deb. And as Debra said, what we were doing pre-COVID, we've been able to modify our work, and most aspects of our work have continued with modifications. We're using Zoom and Slack and Facebook to communicate, but we're able to do a lot of the same work, and it's also helpful because our members are going to be faced with going to school online. So this is also a way for them to practice and get used to the technology. Beyond COVID, we've always seen the increased need for employment and education to work more closely together at Fountain House, and I think in clubhouses in general. But I think this has really given us a sense of urgency. Education along with employment working together can create new pathways to career opportunities that we haven't thought about before for our members. Even our TEs, they might not be available going forward or be changed in ways that we're not ready for. I think we've highlighted with COVID that we need to increase the digital literacy skills for our members for employment, and that is a great role for an education component of a clubhouse, large or small. And I'm excited that in this, world where there was uncertainty, there's like a positive, unexpected outcome where we're beginning a new dialogue to be as comfortable talking about education as we are about employment within the clubhouse.
It's important. People need to know how to read and write, regardless of what vocational goal they have, and so really supporting people, and we coach them, and we cheerlead. We are like we support and say you can do it, and we set out the steps. We make the steps. We don't just say go do it. We say first we're going to do this and this and this, and each step in itself is an achievable goal that builds on another and another and another, and then before we know it, the person has graduated, or now they're going to take a job somewhere.
And this can be done in a clubhouse, in some capacity in a clubhouse, large or small. So that's our presentation from Fountain House.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan and Deb. I kind of lost connection there for a minute or two, so I missed part of the presentation, but I did hear it when we did the dry run on Monday, and a couple of things, takeaways that I thought was really important for us to get. One, I really like the fact that we have a variety of different student supports in the clubhouse. Everything from the in-house classes to coaching and on-campus support. Deb, your story is really critical to really showing how members can become involved in a variety of different ways within the clubhouse. And I really appreciate everything that you've done. I've known you for the 11.5 years that we've been in the education unit together. And I just want to say thank you. So next, we're going to turn it over to Cassidy, Marty, and Eric at Magnolia Clubhouse. Guys, take it away.
Thank you very much, Cyrus. And I wanted to say phenomenal job to Deb and Megan. Thank you so much for everything that you shared. So again, my name's Cassidy. We're coming to you live from Cleveland, Ohio. We are at Magnolia Clubhouse. I've been at the clubhouse for about 3 years now, and I work on our administration unit as our development and communications coordinator.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marty, and I'm a staff member on the communications unit at Magnolia Clubhouse.
Hi everyone, my name is Eric. I've been a member at Magnolia Clubhouse since March of 2019, and I normally work on the administration unit.
So we're going to share a PowerPoint with you today. It's about 7 slides, and it'll go over part of how we run education at our clubhouse. Daily, we have about 75 members a day, so it's a little bit smaller than Fountain House, but we've learned a lot of tools from them, and we'll show you how we've done that.
Okay, so we wanted to begin by describing a little bit about what we're doing to support education. First of all, Magnolia Clubhouse does not have a unit dedicated to education, but we have a number of educational resources that we use, which we'll talk about more in a minute, but I did want to mention that we have an education board, which is very similar to our transitional employment board, and that's deliberate and reflects the importance of making education as accessible as employment in the clubhouse. Our education board contains information on local educational programs and resources, as well as the names of members who are pursuing education and what programs they're involved in. And we wanted this information to be accessible to staff and members at any time. We track participation and outcomes in education just as we would in employment. The Education Board is also a way to recognize the accomplishments of members in education. We also make time one Wednesday per month in the evening to encourage members who are working or attending classes, and they may not be able to participate in the work order day, to join us for a dinner. This dinner is open to all members, and we invite people who are working and going to school to come and share their experiences. And it's a great way for members to inspire others to pursue their goals. Next, we're going to hear from Eric, who has more information on educational resources at Magnolia Clubhouse.
Thanks, Marty. So yeah, we have a lot of different resources available at our clubhouse for education. Some of these include literacy skills training, high school courses, college resources, online educational opportunities, and clubhouse tutoring. And the picture you see on the right here is an example of our education board from 2019 that Marty was talking about earlier.
Perfect. And so moving forward, we wanted to implement some more tools in our clubhouse to, again, promote the idea of education, create community resources, and relationships. And so one of the ways we did that is by inviting our local libraries to come in and teach courses. So they were coming in about once every month and teaching classes on how to use your email address, how to use a smartphone, how to use maybe a Microsoft Word document. And so that formed the relationship with our libraries. We also had our weekly employment and education meetings. And so we had an attendance about 5 to 12 members per week. And that was really helping individuals to stay on track more frequently. We also invited university representatives to come to our clubhouse to see our physical space and to meet our members. And so members sat down with, for example, the president of the disability office at our local community college and asked the real questions. How do we afford college? How does it feel to be on a university campus? And it made it more personable. We also invited him to join us for our education and employment dinner, again, to be in a more personal setting and just get to know members. We implemented the idea of, again, working side by side with our university campuses and with members. So to ensure that members were getting to that point of graduation, we could go with a member when they would like us to sit down with their university counselor, their disability center, to ensure that they're on track for graduation. And we want to continue to implement the idea that the shared responsibility of education should be amongst the clubhouse. It may be important to have some staff and members take bottom line for the education department so that they can do more research involved in it. But it is important to, again, have the responsibility spread amongst the clubhouse so that members are getting all of the opportunities available to them.
Okay, we did want to mention that at the beginning of 2018, Cassidy and I had the opportunity to visit Fountain House in New York, and we were actually able to observe their education unit, and it was a great learning experience. Even though a unit dedicated to education isn't something that we have currently at Magnolia Clubhouse, and it's a resource that many of your clubhouses may not have, it's still possible to support the members in your community in education. And here's a little bit more about how we've approached it at our clubhouse. According to Standard 25, if a clubhouse provides an in-house education program, it significantly utilizes the teaching and tutoring skills of its members. And one of the best resources that we have at Magnolia Clubhouse is our members. One of our members who is very knowledgeable about technology was able to use his skills to benefit other members by teaching an in-clubhouse course on Microsoft Word. And we've also had a number of members tutor others. Another tool that we use is actually in collaboration with Fountain House New York. We were given access to funds from the Sydney R. Bear Scholarship, which has given us the opportunity to award non-competitive scholarships to members 3 times per year. If any clubhouses in the United States are interested in the scholarship, please contact Fountain House New York. Cyrus could put that information in the chat. Under the scholarship, members are eligible for up to $350. That amount was determined by the cost of 1 3-credit-hour class at our local community college. Members have used the scholarship to pursue educational goals at universities, as well as take courses for personal enrichment, such as art classes. Members can also use the scholarship for other educational expenses, such as textbooks and supplies. And the scholarship is also a useful tool to track our progress. For example, in our first round of scholarships in the summer of 2018, we awarded a single scholarship. 2 years later, in the summer of 2020, despite the clubhouse being closed and having to do all of our reach out over the phone and our meetings and interviews over Zoom, we were able to award 12, which gives you an overview of the results of how our efforts have grown in supported education. As far as the process goes, it's a lot like the initial talk at Fountain House. We set educational goals with members and staff, work together. They then fill out a scholarship application and they attend the interview together. So we were able to film several of these scholarship interviews, and I'm going to give it over to Eric, who's going to introduce that.
So next up, we have a short video of one of our members, Willie, during his scholarship interview at our clubhouse. Willie describes his struggles with managing his symptoms and going back to school. And he says how he hopes to improve his confidence and practice new coping skills by taking acting courses. And he hopes that these courses will eventually allow him to return to school.
So Willie, we were looking at your application. We really liked your essay. I underlined a few different points that you had in here as to why you want to take this class. You said that it's a positive way to deal with your anxiety and build confidence.
I think the acting classes will help build my confidence. You know, I think it helped me just kind of like it seems that it helped pull out. Like instead of being in, it helped pull out whatever's in there.
And I think that's wonderful. And it's also stick to a schedule.
I've talked about this tremendously with my therapist. It's consistency. I get into things and I'll be involved and I'll fall off, get involved, fall off, get involved. If there's any type of way I can get help with consistency, I would love that.
Yeah, and I guess the only other thing I would say too, with your education too, knowing that we are still a backup, because I know sometimes when you'll have things that you're on, we won't see you for a little bit. I would just encourage you to stay in touch, at least with me, if nobody else, while you're going through this, so I can support you, because there will be ups and downs as you're going through, you know, your classes or whatever. We just want to support you with that too.
And help you to pursue further education and employment opportunities.
Yeah, I think everything that I've seen with Willie here, I think he's ready to start stepping out and doing some stuff. Great leader. You really help us out on our unit.
Well, we're all for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
All right, thanks, Willie.
Awesome.
All right, no
Thank you so much. Not too hard, right?
No.
Okay, that was one of our interviews, and Eric's going to talk a little bit about his experience at the clubhouse with education.
Right, thanks. So just a little background on myself. I started college back in 2011, and then in 2014, I had to take a break from school to take care of my mental health. That break ended up being about 4.5 years long, and during it, I started thinking that I never would be able to go back to school again. But in March of last year, I began attending Magnolia Clubhouse, and they helped me tremendously. They helped me to gain my confidence back. They helped me to realize that I could work with other people, that I could accomplish the things that I wanted to accomplish. And fortunately, I was able to return to John Carroll University studying psychology in September of last year. Even during the COVID-19 pandemic this past semester, the Clubhouse continued to support me. Their daily Zoom meetings made sure that I was up and ready for my classes and got me used to working in a virtual environment, and just offering encouragement and support and reach out when I needed help with getting through everything that I was going through during my classes. And thanks to all the support that I've received from the Clubhouse, I am now just one semester away from graduating with my degree in psychology. So I cannot thank the Clubhouse enough for all they've done for me and all that they do for everyone that struggles with their mental health.
Thank you so much for sharing, Eric. We really appreciate that. And thank you for everybody for joining today and hearing us out. So if you have any questions for Magnolia Clubhouse, please reach out to any one of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Magnolia Clubhouse, for a very comprehensive and well thought out presentation. A couple of things that stood out to me that I think I'd like to mention and go back to. One are the partnerships that you've developed, for example, with the library or the Office of Disability on campus, really providing some additional support outside of the Clubhouse that can be applied to the education program. As mentioned, the Sydney Bear Scholarships, if anyone's interested, this is only available in the US, please send an email to wanawebinar@fountainhouse.org to my attention, and I'll make sure that we connect you with the person who will receive that here at Fountain House. And I also want to thank Willie and Eric for sharing their personal stories. You know, the impact that personal stories have on really spreading the message about the good work that Clubhouses do is really critical and vital to the work that we do. And it's always great to hear these stories where members overcome the various challenges that they face with having a mental illness. And, you know, this is a strength-based approach that really focuses on the inner strength of the member themselves, working in tandem with the staff. So again, thank you, Magnolia Clubhouse. So now we're going to turn it over to Helene and Evelyn at Fontenehuset, Rygge in Norway. Guys, take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Helene Molvig, and I'm the director at Fontenehuset Rygge in Norway. And together with me is Evelyn.
Yes. Hello, my name is Evelyn Czilling, and I'm a member at Fontenehuset Rygge, and I've been a participating member since October 2018.
Yeah. First, some short information about our clubhouse. We are a really small clubhouse, and we opened the doors in May 2016. We are located in a small town with approximately 55,000, a population of 55,000. We have 130 members or prospective members, and approximately 30% of the members are between 16 and 30 years. Our daily attendance is about 20 people, and we have built our clubhouse based on what we call the 5 Ps. It's the people, place, purpose, program, and partners. And now we're going to share with you our PowerPoint.
Perfect.
Yes, in our presentation, we want to highlight that supported education is always possible, even if you are part of a small clubhouse like ours. As was mentioned earlier, the standard 25 is in front in everything we do, where the clubhouse assists members to reach their vocational or educational goals. So at our clubhouse, we combine the clubhouse model and supported education to comply this standard. In supported education, we focus on human rights. Education is a human right, and we also focus on inclusive training, recovery for members, and psychiatric rehabilitation if needed at the same time. And we have called our program for #SMS, and it stands for Studies with Support. Supported education, what, why, and how. To make the 5 Ps, as I mentioned earlier, thrive and be sustainable, we focus on struggles in the local community. In our case, there is a really high dropout percentage at local high schools, almost 30%. And we also focus on members' needs, wishes, and goals. And we wanted to develop a learning community. And we also want to mention that you don't need an education unit. We don't have one, but you need a culture of education at the clubhouse. Yeah. And it's really important that education is a part of everything you do. You need to have it in your front head all the time. And for example, when you're making a budget, that's math. Are you doing data collection in the reception? That's statistics. When you're making flyers at the clubhouse, we are doing marketing. When we are making lunch, it's both communication, collaboration, creativity, and math. When we are holding lessons, it's the communication and language. When we are writing the newsletter at the clubhouse, it's communication, it's social science, history, and etc. So being a learning community, it requires partners. And it's many times, I think it's easier to think that you can be a partner if you're part of a big clubhouse, but it may be even more important with all the partners when you're a small clubhouse. So being a learning community, you need to talk about education wherever and whenever, because learning happens everywhere. And you need to reach out to people and organizations that can support you. And you need to establish partnerships. In our case, we have established partnerships with NAV, that's our local welfare system, with high schools, universities, Optimist International, that's a non-profit global organization. And the collaboration have helped us get funding. For example, the partnership we have with Optimist International, they have helped us to get in touch with and recruit 2 retired teachers. And those teachers are a big part of the content of our program. They are coming to the clubhouse 2 to 3 times a week, and they stay for 2 to 3 hours and give lessons in different subjects. And the subjects are based on members' needs, wishes, and goals. And as we have seen, by having open doors and teachers coming to the clubhouse, we are becoming a larger learning community. Yes, and then Evelyn.
Yes. So I've got to mention earlier, my name is Evelyn, and I've been a member at Fontenehuset since October 2018, and I've been active in the #SMS program since then. Sorry, can't English today. So in terms of the participation in the developing of the program, I can only draw from my own experiences, but I do think that a lot comes down to the individual members in developing the program. That being said, though, the support and encouragement that you do get from the other members that are active and utilizing the program is incredibly important. It has been for me, and it has resulted in a very strong sense of community within the members in the program, as well as having members of staff to help canvassing for us to figure out the they've been very good at canvassing the needs and of the individual members, as well as the collective need among the members that utilize this program. And what I think that boils down to is the members' wants and needs. And speaking of my own experiences, my goals by utilizing the program, through conversations with members of staff, I have been able to set a few goals, albeit small goals, but it has been goals that I will be able to accomplish regardless of the state of my own health. I am currently retaking subjects that I had in high school, for example, to improve my overall grades so that I can get started on a bachelor's degree. Participation for me has been key in this program, whether it's been through our local meetings with the #SMS group and the young adults at our clubhouse, or if it's been help organizing events that we have at our clubhouse, or if it's been through our somewhat frequent visits and presentations at our local high schools. As Helene mentioned, the dropout rate is about 30% in our local community, and we talk to the kids that maybe are at risk of dropping out, as well as me personally. I am elected as a member representative at our clubhouse for the young adults and this project, so that the members, if not comfortable going to the staff, they can come to me with their issues, wants, needs, whatever it is that they need. As well as when it comes to resources, we have been very fortunate because one of our local high schools that we do have a partnership with has been very helpful in donating textbooks to us on various school subjects. So we do have our own little library of textbooks. For me, I was very lucky to start with the program, start with my studies after lockdown was already over and that clubhouse had reopened. But I do know a few members that did go through online tutoring, having sessions with teachers over Zoom or Facebook or whatever that they used. And as of right now, I have an appointment once a week with one of the retired teachers at our clubhouse, where I go every Monday, 9:30 to 11 a.m., where I have social studies and history, where one-on-one with a teacher, where I'm pointed in the right direction, help highlight what I need to remember and what is essential for me to retake and do my exams. And that has been very helpful for me, because without the support that I get through our clubhouse, retaking these exams would collectively cost me around $50,000 for all the subjects that I'm retaking. So the fact that this is a free offer for us with this program is incredible, and I honestly don't think that I could do without the support that I get here. So as I mentioned earlier, we do from time to time have presentations at local high schools, and there a member of staff will give information about Fontenehuset, and especially what we can offer of help to those who may be struggling or kids who are at risk of dropping out, that we do tell about the resources that we have, what we can offer. And my role in that has been to literally tell my story as a member, my struggles, and I like calling my own presentation a sort of cautionary tale. And I usually, after telling my story, I do encourage those who may be struggling to ask for help, in whatever form that may be. And I do think that our little presentations, TED Talks, if you will, do help reduce the stigma around mental health, and maybe it will be the push that someone will need in the right direction to maybe ask for help. And for the sake of context, some of my problems have been severe bullying and physical abuse at school. It's been not limited to, but also struggling with eating disorders in my early teen years, which resulted in a very long period of isolation and depression, and it was not a good time, to say the least. So lastly, I would like to say a few things about my own participation in this program. And honestly, it has been a while, 2 years. It's been very good for me. My self-esteem has never been better, and I am probably more confident than I've ever been in my life, with the level of dedication and focus that I have had and put in my own work. I've somewhat become a role model at our clubhouse for what you can achieve, regardless of your means, your background, that you can basically do anything that you want. But it is safe to say that without the support and encouragement that I got from both members and staff alike, I would probably not be where I am today.
Yes, something about our clubhouse in COVID-19. COVID-19 is a global crisis, and our clubhouse were closed. The building were closed for approximately 2 months, and we were a virtual clubhouse. But I want to say that the crisis, that's a Greek word with a double meaning, and it means both danger and new opportunity. And many clubhouses have an untapped potential concerning education. And it's important to don't let that crisis hit you without doing something new. And this is a good time to take a new focus on education and start giving Standard 25 the focus and awareness it deserves. And all you need actually is a pen, paper, you need people. And in our case, we also need a lot of partners, because they have helped us give opportunities to members to achieving their goals and objectives. And as I mentioned earlier, one of our partners is Sorpinist International, the local club in Moss, and they are focusing on empowering people through education. So it's a really great partner if you want to focus on education. So what is needed in the future? Nobody knows what the world will look like in 2050 or 2080. But we know that the future will include big changes and moments of uncertainty, like COVID-19. So it may be that the psychosocial approach or the clubhouse model is more important and needed in the future. And we need to stay connected and to support one another. And in this moment and in the future, I think education and skills will be the key. So being a learning community is really important, and we try to do education in every corner of our clubhouse. And we need to be good at the 4 C's in the future. The 4 C's are critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity, because we don't know what the future will bring. And the best of all is that the 4 C's are universal skills and will make us all better fit to embrace the wilderness of the future together. And we would like to say that every clubhouse can focus on education, even the small ones like our clubhouse. Thank you.
Thank you, Helena and Evelyn, for a thorough examination of the educational supports you provide in your clubhouse. I think Evelyn's story of empowerment in the raising of her self-esteem took place because you've been able to focus on creating a culture within the clubhouse in developing a learning community. And you talked about partnerships, and I think that's really important for all clubhouses to look at who can you reach out to in your community that can help better the members in their educational goals and objectives. And the other thing that also strikes me that even though you're a small clubhouse, you're thinking long-term. You're talking about 2030, 2050, 2080. You're taking into consideration the basic human rights, and you've made mention in your PowerPoint presentation of the Sustainable Development Goals that the UN has put out, that they, for all member states at the UN, are trying to achieve by the year 2030, if I remember correctly. So thank you very much for your presentation. So now we're going to move into the Q&A section. And I think IBCI is going to bring up the first question that we have for the day.
Thank you. For those of you that have a question you would like to ask, please submit your questions in the Q&A panel located in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, or by pressing the 3-dot option along the bottom and selecting the Q&A panel. Your first question today: if a clubhouse is just starting up an education function, what would you say is the most important thing that they can do to get it up and running?
Helena and Evelyn, why don't you take this question?
I think the first thing you need to do is to talk about education and to understand the members' needs, goals, and wishes, and together you will figure out what is the next step. So it may be that you start with a study club where you can figure out and you can present your questions, and you together figure out what will be the next step. Do you want to add something? No. The first thing we did was that we went out in the larger community, and we talked to high schools and teachers, and then we got some information about what are the struggles in the larger community, and how can the clubhouse be a supplement to the struggles in the larger community. And then we got along the way together and developed the program. So talking about education in everything you do at the clubhouse. As I mentioned earlier, when you're making lunch, it's communication, it's collaboration, it's math. So start talking about education and start to talk about what is a learning community, when do we learn and how do we learn, and what is your way of learning.
Thank you. I'm also going to ask the same question to Magnolia Clubhouse, and just add on, how long have you been doing educational supports at the clubhouse?
Well, educational supports have been happening for a long time at the clubhouse. And Marty and I started around the same time, and Eric about 3 years ago. So what we saw was an education program somewhat established, and it just needed to make progress. So we started with tracking. So it's really important to make sure that you've identified all of your members who are interested in education, make sure that their goals are identified, and we found that it was really important to make that known to the rest of the clubhouse to inspire others. So making some kind of board, like a whiteboard, and making that unit work, you know, cutting out names and putting them on a magnet and putting them on the board so an individual feels recognized and they feel supported. Also putting up programs and opportunities available in the community, and then inviting partners into the clubhouse to make those resources known to both members and to the resource in the community.
Yeah, and I also wanted to mention that a very simple thing to do as far as, you know, kind of disseminating education through your clubhouse culture is to have, like we do, a weekly education and employment meeting. It's just an hour a week, but it's an hour dedicated to that subject, so members know that at least once a week the subject is kind of brought up and discussed, and it's something that they can be a part of.
Thanks. Next question, please.
Thank you. We have so many great questions. We're going to go a little bit past the hour so that we can address most of these. So your next question, do you have an assessment form or a development plan form that you have potential students complete?
Why don't you take this, Megan at Fountain House?
Yeah, we don't have an assessment form, so we don't assess somebody's skills, but we sit down with someone when they come and they express some sort of educational goal and talk to them about what their past experience in education has been like. And we start with the positive, like, what is your goal? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to go to school? And we talk about what went well in the past. I always say something had to have gone well. Sometimes members have a hard time thinking about what went well, but maybe they just really enjoyed being in a classroom, or maybe they just really enjoyed history. There's something that went well, and I want to focus on that so that there's excitement about the next steps in their lives. But then we also talk about what was challenging for that person. Like, you know, in Clubhouse, we don't do clinical assessments or anything like that, but members know what they struggled with, whether it was showing up or concentration, or it was when they first got sick, when they left school, and now they're better. And so we look at that. We also write down, you know, the last time that they were in school, and then we just kind of like make a little set of goals that people can start doing. Sometimes it's going on TE before going to school. Sometimes it's taking an in-house class. We let the person self-assess, and it's all a part of that coaching session, which is done by members and staff of the education unit, or can be done by members and staff of whatever unit or area it's based in, or if it's right throughout the house, like in Magnolia House. But it's really a self-assessment, just the getting to know you. And but we keep track of all of that, and we have a form that we use, but not a formal assessment.
Thanks, Megan. Next question, please.
How do clubhouses deal with members who have learning disabilities?
I'm going to start this off with Megan, since that's something that when I was in the education unit we were talking a lot about, and I'd like to hear what you have to say as the current status of people with learning disabilities.
Megan, you're muted.
I'm sorry. You would think that in New York City there would be a lot of resources for people with learning disabilities. But currently in New York City, there are no free resources for any adult with a learning disability. There is one program that is a year-long wait list for testing, and a year-long wait list for services after that, and services only last a year. So we're starting to address that with our literacy circle, trying to see what the needs are. We've gotten software that free program had used. Recommended by one of the members that was there, so we invested in that software. But it's a real struggle. I think, you know, when I sit down with people, most people who haven't gotten their high school equivalency as an adult have experienced some sort of learning disability in their lifetime. And it's a real challenge, and we're not the experts in it. But we have made a partnership with a teacher's college that will do psychoeducational testing for our members. So at least we have an idea of some of the things that they're struggling with. And in that psychoeducational testing, they come up with recommendations that can be helpful. And that was a partnership. And instead of spending $2,500 on a test, we spent $500 and our scholarship program pays for it.
Thanks, Megan. Next question, please.
What are your thoughts on engaging an older population in educational goals and pursuits?
Magnolia House, why don't you take this question?
So again, we want to treat all members equally. And so if one of our members has a goal in mind, we're going to, whether older or younger, we're going to ensure that we sit down with them and there's side-by-side support coming from their worker to make sure that their goal is possible. And so wherever they are at in their educational pursuits, again, we want to take step by step. So if we have a member come in and say that they want to become a nurse, but they had dropped out of high school and they still need to have their high school diploma, we want to make sure that's the first step. So that's our goal. But also, if we have members who are interested in just building their literacy skills, we encourage them to do tutoring in the clubhouse. And so, again, clubhouses are great. We have members who come from all walks of life. So we have members who are previous teachers, previous professors, and they want to utilize their skill sets again. And so hosting those in clubhouse courses held by members, or just providing that one-on-one tutoring from a member to member, we found to be really successful.
Thanks, Cassidy. Helene, I'm guessing that you have a fairly younger population. Do you have older members who are interested in developing long-term literacy or learning goals?
Yes, we do. Most of the members in the program are between 16 to 30, in the end 30s. But we do have older members that are a part of the program as well. And as Cassidy mentioned, they are holding lessons, they are tutoring, and they also have goals for themselves. So we do have members who are masters, studying for their masters, and they are in their 50s. So they are treated equally and getting the support they need, no matter how old they are.
Thank you, Elena. Next question, please.
Thank you. Do you think education should be prioritized as much as employment as a recovery modality in clubhouses?
Megan, you want to tackle this one?
I believe so. I think education helps with employment in a great ways. If people want a sustainable career, it's important to have the skills necessary to do that career. And education can be anything from basic literacy to vocational training. You know, if somebody wants to learn how to fix a car, you know, that's great educational training. It doesn't have to be college or high school equivalency. And thinking about education and just as acquiring mastery or knowledge only sets our members up for greater possibilities in their lives. So I really think that this is the change in culture that we're starting to talk about it. But, you know, education to me is as important as employment. It is a self-esteem issue. It is regaining confidence. It's fighting stigma against mental illness. So I just think that it should be on an equal footing.
Deb, do you have any comments on this particular question?
I had wanted to actually have a comment on the last question, if that's right. I want to say the people that I tutor are in their 50s, and these are people that are trying to get a high school diploma. And the people in our in-house classes are all ages. We have students of all ages in college, and some like me. I am tutoring and engaging and helping, but we do have older students, and also we do encourage people of all ages that they can still improve their lives and still have vocational opportunities. And now I'm a little confused about what this question was. I'm sorry, I messed up.
No, you didn't mess up. You're doing great. It was just about the importance of education as a recovery modality, as we talked about in the clubhouse with employment, like TEs. So do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, education. Well, in my case, yeah. Pursuing I am pursuing education now. I thought that I would never be doing that again, and it's giving me the peer specialist thing is now I'm looking online for different sorts of certifications and things. What else can I do? And I think people in the clubhouse we encourage them, as Megan was saying, for all vocational opportunities. It builds confidence and it helps in people's recovery.
Thanks, Deb. Eric or Marty, do you have any thoughts on education as a recovery modality within your clubhouse?
Yeah, I think it's very important. Like Deb and Megan were saying, it helps build confidence. If you're going to class, it helps you to build a routine for yourself. And, like build up your self-esteem, and just, it really helps to improve your mental health symptoms.
And as far as the connection between education and employment goes, I mean, as things, as terms of work skills, using technology is now, one of the basic skills people have to possess to work in the 21st century. So, even if it's a basic, like we said, we had an in-house Microsoft Word class, even using that, with the local libraries coming in to teach members Outlook, and the basics of how to navigate the internet. Those are all essential skills that people need to possess to work now.
Thanks, Eric and Marty. Evelyn, I want to make sure we get your thoughts on this particular question regarding education as a recovery modality and tying it to employment. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. Because I barely got through high school as it is, because my mental health, for the lack of a better word, was a train wreck. I have been struggling for many years, and I barely got through with a diploma. So for me, education has been much more important than employment, because in order for me to even get employment these days, I do need some sort of education that kind of outranks high school. So for me, it has been a lot of conversation, again, canvassing what is it that I need in order to either get my health on a better track, and what I need in order to improve my grades. Right now, I do have a long-term plan as to which subjects I'm retaking and how long I'm going to spend on those. So I'm with the member of staff that I have as a contact person, I guess. We do have a conversation on the long-term goal and how we're going to get there, regardless of if I do have some mental health deterioration or if my mental health goes up. It's very much a work in progress, at least in my experience, and I think that goes for the other members as well, the ones that I talked to about this.
Thanks, Evelyn. Next question, please.
Thank you, Cyrus. That's all we have time for today, so I'll go ahead and pass it back to you for closing remarks.
Okay, so I just wanted to close with some remarks here. In our rapidly changing world, the importance of quality, affordable, and accessible education is more important now than ever before. This is a basic human right. So today's presentation is a wonderful jumping off point for clubhouses to take and adapt what was presented here and apply it to their own supported education programs and connecting it with employment. This, I believe, is crucial for ongoing success. What we've learned is that clubhouses vary not only in size, but the broad range of educational supports that can be implemented in clubhouses around the world. So I challenge each of you listening to this webinar to take what you've learned here and implement it in your community. Build relationships with partners outside your clubhouse, integrate the lessons learned today, and see how far you go. Share your ideas and thoughts with us, your colleagues. Remember, WANA, we are not alone, and neither are you. We are in this together. Thank you once again to Megan and Deb from Fountain House, Cassidy, Eric, and Marty from Magnolia Clubhouse, and Helene and Evelyn from Fontenehuset, Riga. I would also like to give special thanks to the WANA webinar team and to IVCI for their technical support. If you have any questions or would like additional information regarding upcoming webinars or information regarding the Sydney Bear scholarships, which only apply to U.S. clubhouses, please send an email to wanawebinar@fountainhouse.org. See you in August for the next WANA webinar, and let's go over to IVCI for more information.
Thank you. If we have not answered your questions today, please feel free to send an email to wanawebinar@fountainhouse.org. The recording will be available next week, and the slides will be distributed tomorrow. There will be a short survey on screen once the event ends today. Please take a moment to fill it out and give us your feedback. Thank you for coming to the webinar, and please be on the lookout for announcements regarding our future webinars. Have a wonderful day.